Hey there, and welcome to our Raising Rices vlog here on YouTube. My name is Marissa, and I am a mom of 7. This is my youngest, little baby Samuel. He is a doll face, and we just love him. I wanted to bring you along on some new morning habits that we have started. Yes, it is 2025 and in January, and so everyone and their mom are making new resolutions and lifestyle changes. And while that's not bad per se, my husband and I started these changes back in December, but with all of the visits from our family from out of town and the holidays, it's actually been really hard to stay on this trajectory. So we're excited to have a little bit more downtime as a family and be able to continue some of these habits. Right here, what we're doing is the first thing in the morning, we're trying to drink a glass of water with a little, about maybe a teaspoon of sea salt. Now, this is the Baja Gold sea salt. We got it just off Amazon, and it's supposed to have 91 minerals in it. And so we take a drink of this to start the day. You may tell, am not in a healthy place. Well, I should say where I want to be, or where I have been in the past. Samuel is 4 months old, and I experienced a uterine rupture during my delivery with him and have been really working on healing my body from the inside out. It took about 3 months to even sort of recover, if you will. I was asked to be on similar to bed rest, lots of sitting, lots of healing because of that traumatic surgery and having him enter into the world. But praise the Lord, he is safe and is healthy, and that's all that matters. And now it is time to just spend some time working on my body. Would I like to lose weight? Of course. But more importantly, I want to have a health trajectory that is not a yo-yo diet system or a focused solely on poundage, but more on healing. So after I drink this glass of water with our trace minerals in it, I am following the 3-30-30 principle. And there is a book out there on it. Have I read it? No, but the premise is within 30 minutes of waking, you are to take a glass of water with these trace minerals, as I mentioned, and 30 grams of protein, followed by 30 minutes of cardiovascular, easy cardiovascular workout. Our protein of choice this morning is from Ballerina Farm down in Utah, just the state below us. We are combining a mixture of their protein powder with a glass of raw milk from the dairy down the road. We'll blend this up and drink it before starting our 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise. Now, I have to share that it is early in the morning and I am slow going, as you can see. It is about 5 a.m. and this is around the time that my husband wakes up for work on the daily. He works from home as a nurse and does clinical review. So he is up, this is his time, and it has been such an encouragement to me that he is supporting me also getting up and getting going for the day. There's a lot of little nuances or little changes that we're trying to make, and we have tried several that I just cannot get on board with at this time in my life, and that's okay. I think that, yes, it's important to make a big change and to get rolling with, new lifestyle choices, but then at the same time to remember that we're all human and we're doing our best that we can. So grace upon grace, especially since my sweet 4-month-old is going through a sleep regression and is still waking up now every 2 to 3 hours at night to nurse. This is semi-normal for my boys that I've had. My girls tend to sleep faster, longer stretches through the night, but that's okay. We're all made differently. My husband is starting a fire right now for the household. We live in southeast Idaho, and we have a goal to heat our whole house with just our wood fire. So that is something that we're getting going all the time. You might have noticed that a red light turned off, and I have been doing a red light therapy on my face in the morning for about 10 minutes to get going. This is a nice way to ease my eyes to the light. Then I open the house up, turning all the lights on, bring little baby Samuel over to our library where my husband's office is. He's getting going on his job, giving him a little lovey, and Samuel gets to hang out with him as I get ready to go to the garage and do the 30 minutes of cardiovascular activity along with some weights. Now, I used to do a lot of weights back in high school, and it is semi-embarrassing how much muscle I have lost, but here I'm trying to work slowly at bringing back some of that muscle in my upper body strength. We don't have lots of weights, but we did get the kids this weight bench for Christmas, and our boys in particular are loving it. So after 3 sets of weights, then I'm going to get our kettlebell and also do some lifting simple squats. As you can see, I'm no weight lifter. This is very minimal things, but we all got to start somewhere, right? And so this is what I am doing right now. I do want to push my body, but I don't want to break my body, especially after still healing from the uterine rupture. I know it's time to make big changes, but I also want to be gentle with my spirit and my body. Then I move on to that 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise that is recommended within 30 minutes of waking from this, again, as I mentioned, book. I have several different opportunities to get some of the cardiovascular exercise in. We have a treadmill, a row machine, a bike, and a ski machine. Mostly all of these have been machines that we have found either at reduced price or on Facebook Marketplace, which has been nice to create a little home gym. We, as we begin this year of 2025, are really excited to not only have our own systems in place where we are moving our body and exercises, but we also, since we homeschool, have added into our homeschool schedule 30 minutes a day of PE time, we're calling it, and the whole family goes to our gym and works out together. Very minimal, but it's just another opportunity to move our body. This is our treadmill, and I'm trying some rebounding practices as it's supposed to help my lymphatic system, and I think that healing from the inside out, as I mentioned before, is going to be super important in this healing process. So I probably spend about 3 minutes on the trampoline, and then afterwards I'm going to head inside and get ready for the day. I'll explain. One of the habits I see a lot of women doing is preparing their bodies and their looks, I should say, for the day. And I am working on that as a personal goal, but as an overall looks, I kind of live a very simple life, and I have learned that if I can have clothes that I can move freely, go jump in my overalls and do some chores in the backyard or run up the stairs to do homeschooling, it just tends to be easier. Not to say that easier is better. Sometimes some friction in our life is really needed. All right, I'm taking off my socks and shoes, and you might see it there on the video, but we purchased this grounding mat. It looks like just a mat that gets plugged into the ground outlet. You can see there in that picture right under the mirror in your outlet. So it's supposed to connect to the earth. And while there is a lot of woo-woo stuff out there and woo-woo, things, I don't want to participate in new age or things that would distract me from the things of God. But There are studies to show that there are different frequencies in the earth, and it helps to connect with them. So we're giving this a try. I know that some people swear by the grounding sheets that they sleep in at night, or to actually physically get outside, but you may not know this. We have 4 to 6 inches of snow, and so finding the ground would be quite a situation there for me. So we are trying this grounding mat for the winter months, and then in the summer, I do think it would be great to get outside to connect with God's beautiful creation. He has made things in place for us, for our good. So learning and discovering that. I don't wear makeup on the regular, but I have been trying to wash my face, especially with doing some additional detoxing things, rebounding in the evening. We do sauna occasionally, sweating and getting my body moving. I definitely see that I can break out. And so washing my face, I use this product from Modere, and I also have a coupon code and discount. If you would like one, just message me or comment below and I will get that to you. As I wash my face, I am drinking a drink called Revitalize. It is a hydration drink with, again, a few more minerals in it. I have really been focusing on that in particular because this is my 7th baby, and so 7 pregnancies, losing so much of that mineral-based nutrients in my body, and I'm just trying to replenish because, Lord willing, I would love to have more kids one day. So I'm trying to do what I can with the resources that I have. You might have heard me talk about this earlier, and just to bring it to light again, there are so many wonderful influencers here on YouTube, on social media, and they are doing great things about encouraging homemakers to take a focus on their bodies and what they wear, and I am very encouraged by that. And before you continue the story, I just want to bring to your attention that I try my best to do some breathing work while I wait for this mask infusion to get into my face. I'm breathing in, holding, breathing out, holding, breathing in, holding, breathing out, holding. Breath work is something very new to me, but I've been encouraged as I've been learning about it that it is an opportunity to bring oxygen to the brain. And please keep tuned or subscribe, because I would love to include a YouTube video here shortly about what I've been learning about when it comes to oxygen and giving a more thorough how-to on breathing. Okay, back to my story about the amazing influencers. I have watched several videos and felt encouraged in my role as mother and as wife and as homemaker. And some of the videos that I watch, I can start to feel like I'm inadequate because I am not as feminine as perhaps the women on the influencing shows. Is it something I can work on? Absolutely. Sweatshirts and exercise pants is probably not what I want to always be wearing, especially because I have 3 girls and I want them to see the beauty in being a woman. And this is something I need and feel convicted about working on. So as you watch, you're not going to see me put on any makeup or a dress or anything like that today, but it is on my mind. And why I bring this up is because sometimes we can feel convicted. Sometimes we can feel encouragement or start to commit to prayer for different life changes. And it doesn't mean that it has to happen right away, but actually committing something to prayer, figuring out your why and why you're doing it, is actually an incredible motivating factor. So I say this because as you subscribe and as you stay tuned to watch the different ways that I would love to encourage you in, you might see and hear me talk about this change. As a change in conviction and as a change in lifestyle, I think it is wonderful to start the conversation. All right, some of these different face wash systems have so many parts. In fact, this one that I'm doing today has like 5 parts. I used to think I am not spending that much time on my face, let alone anything else. I don't have time for this. I want to use all of my available minutes for sleep. But there is something about getting yourself ready in the morning and spending the time to wake up to be ready for your children. As I am putting on this face wash today, I am actually listening to a book on tape from Nancy Wilson, and I've been so encouraged by her when it comes to being a helpmate. So that is something that you're able to do. Listen to a podcast, a book on tape, maybe some worship music. If you're looking for a podcast, we have one. It's called Raising Rices, and you can find it on iTunes or Spotify. All right, so I've left the bathroom and I'm back again to the kitchen. I joke with my dear friend Ashley that I think I live here in the kitchen. And this is my sweet daughter Madeline, who is 11 years old, and I have been so blessed to have her work side by side with me. We are making breakfast for our family of 9 today, and on the menu is a frittata. My in-laws, in fact, are infamous for making frittatas. So it is a wonderful way to get a lot of protein and to put some veggies in it too. Madeline's gonna crack the eggs. I'm gonna get some cheese and sausage ready. We actually made this sausage from our own hog that we raised here on our farm, our little homestead. It is really fun actually to see a whole picture. We do have eggs also that our chickens lay, but they are currently being freeloaders. I mentioned that is January, and we have about 65 chickens, but are only getting about a dozen a day. These chickens, I tell you. However, there are things that you can do to help your chickens lay more eggs, such as putting a light in to confuse them and make them think that it is a different season. And it got me thinking, the Lord is so good and has designed these chickens in particular to only focus on egg laying during seasons where the egg could become a baby chick. That is the purpose of the egg, right? We get benefit from eating it because of God's great design. But the Lord made them to take rest in the winter, not only for their bodies, but also for their reproduction and the success of the baby chicks that they would have in the future. Rest is a beautiful thing. It can be difficult. It can be kind of confused with sluggardness or laziness, but I think intentional rest is needed in everybody's life. We see this in the Sabbath when the Lord prescribed to us to take rest on one day of the week. We also see this in seasons even of motherhood, where if we have a child, a newborn, it is important to rest your body and to find rest with that newborn. Their sleep encourages you to rest when they're resting. All right, enough of that, or maybe more of that, especially if you listen to any more of our content. I think you'll hear themes of lessons learned from creation, lessons learned from the Word of God, lessons learned in our own lives as we are walking out, raising households that serve the Lord. Great opportunities. Okay, let me give you a quick rundown of a frittata. If you have not been introduced to a frittata, another way to describe this perhaps is a crustless quiche. Sometimes quiche has more dairy in it. This is probably more protein focus. So Madeline here is cracked almost 2 dozen eggs for our family. And I am chopping up an onion. I'm going to saute that onion in one of our cast iron pans. Our family is really big into cast iron. If you see any of our videos here on YouTube, or you follow us on Instagram or Facebook at Raising Rices, the majority of our meals are cooked in cast iron. It's a great way to get iron into your life in a natural way. So we're just loving it. oh, Madeline is having a hard time with this egg. That's okay. This is why we do it together. Encouragement moving forward. She's throwing those eggs into a bucket that we give to our chickens, which is so funny, but so good for calcium for them. They will grind up those eggs and they'll eat it. Okay, frittata time. Onion sauteed. We usually saute it in some kind of animal fat, either our lard from our hog or butter. We try to avoid seed oils. We're not great at it, but we're learning. After I saute these onions, we will have this egg mixture go into the pan. Today, we're adding the remaining bit of our buttermilk. Usually we just put some of our raw milk in it, but we need to run down the road to the dairy because we are out of milk. Did you know that our family of 9 gets 4 gallons of milk a week and we drink through it? It's incredible. It's amazing. We do have some goats here on the farm that are currently being bred, so that our goal is we will be able to have goat's milk on the regular. However, one day, Lord willing, we will get that family cow, and I'm sure we will use up that milk in a hurry. Baby Samuel's hanging out with us here on the counter. It's so fun to be able to be together. Madeline, Samuel, and I, we all talk, we all hang out, we have lessons learned. There's our Felicity girl. She's probably cleaning her room, which is something that she's working on this year. All right, so the onions are still sauteing. Madeline's about to cut the sausage that we made. We ground the pork and stuffed the pork. And we learned that our brats and our Polish dogs turned out beautifully, but our sausage and its casing, we're gonna have to return to YouTube to learn some more tips and tricks about breakfast sausages. One of the things that we have witnessed is usually we cook things, especially like brats and Polish dogs, low and slow, but with our breakfast sausages, it kind of needs to be like a high heat, cook it fast to really crisp up that outer casing. More on that in our homestead playlist for this YouTube. So our frittata today has onions, sausage, and cheese. If I have any vegetables, especially in the summertime, this frittata is usually full of them. Spinach is one of my favorites, but also broccoli is great. We like to put leeks in it. Tomatoes are wonderful as well. So kind of if you're forming your own frittata, something I would focus on is a meat, a cheese, and a veggie. There can be ham, there can be sausage, there can be bacon. I've even been known to put like ground things in our frittata, leftovers. It's a great way to get your leftovers into a new meal. And cheese, it doesn't have to be cheddar cheese. It can be feta is delicious. Goat cheese is yum. If you want a little spicy kick, you can do a pepper jack cheese. I am cutting chunks today, but also you can do shredded cheese. And we need a new shredder, by the way. We have one that is broken on both ends that we've been like making work because I am trying my best to do a no spend January. Have you heard of this? No spend January? It's where you're only spending money on the necessities like food or your utilities, mortgage, etc. And it's just not any extra spending. So my Amazon list is growing and I am working hard not to purchase anything from it. Also, our activities that we do as a family is really hyper-focused on free. We did some hiking, some snowshoeing. We have been able to read a lot of books as a family. We're working through the Green Ember right now. We have family game nights where we will pick a game like Ticket to Ride or Catan and play that. So No spend January. What I did is I just printed off a calendar of January, and I made 3 little icons on each of them. First is exercise, and I labeled that with a little shoe. Second is no spend, and I made that with a little money symbol. And third is the word, being in the word, and I did that with a little Bible. The important thing about the word to me is that it's either individual or as a family, making sure that we're reading the word every day. And then that calendar lives on my refrigerator, and you can kind of see it in the background there. It's with a little clip above or right next to Samuel's head, his little ear is touching it. And each day I will color the icon green or red. Green if I did it, red if I didn't make it. So far we have 1 red on the no spend. So on the 1st of January, we decided as a family to go ice skating. Such a fun activity, only like $36 too, so like really affordable, but we did spend money to do it. And the rest of the month so far, though, we have greens all around. Greens for no spending money, greens for working out, and greens for being in the Word. This buttermilk that I'm going to add to our mixture, in fact, also comes from the dairy. It is so yummy and so rich. Our dairy down the road is called Dolores, and here in Idaho, you can actually get raw milk from our neighbor or at a store. We came from Oregon about 2 years ago, less than 2 years ago. We moved here to Idaho, and getting raw milk was almost I would say illegal in Oregon. We had to, when we bought raw milk from a farm, specify that it was not for human consumption, even though we did consume it because of the legal ramifications for that farm. Anyways, kind of a crazy world we live in, right? Okay, so our eggs are in the pan. I didn't mention that sometimes I just swirl it around just a little bit when it gets into the pan because it can, because of the heat of the cast iron, it can kind of make a little like film or a little crust on the bottom. And so I mix it a little around. We're just putting the toppings literally just like right on top with the sausage and then the cheese on top of the sausage, and it will just cook into the eggs. I have my oven preheated to 350 and it will sit in there. This is a big batch, so it'll probably sit in there for about 30, maybe 25, 30 minutes. I do a check. If you just take the cast iron by the handle and jiggle it, you don't want it to be so firm that it doesn't move, but you also don't want it to be wiggly jiggly like raw egg. So another way you can do it is to test it with a thermometer and to see when your egg is fully cooked. So we're going to teamwork it and put the frittata into the oven. This cast iron is very heavy, so I get my gloves on to pick it up. There's our Annie dog girl. Funny story about these double ovens. Originally in the house plans, we were going to have a microwave oven and then an oven. We're not really big microwave fans, but we thought, maybe we might need it. It might be important. Well, it was $1,000 more to have a microwave oven combination than it was to have a double oven. So double oven won out. So good. All right, so while that's in the oven for 30 minutes, Samuel and I are gonna make a rundown of the day. And as you can see, I'm trying to take my vitamins and finish up this mineral drink. And my vitamins vary depending on what we have and what season it is. Right now, big focus on vitamin D, and I'm taking still my prenatals to help fill in the gaps because it's good for you even when you're not pregnant. I also have some other vitamins to support my breastfeeding, trying to make sure that that supply stays up. Okay, so for the day, usually we have a formatted day that we do for homeschooling, and the kids know it. They are, in a routine. However, we're just getting back into school from our long Christmas and New Year's break, especially since we had family in town, which was so lovely. And we are doing a gentle start. You may have heard people talk about this, that when you are getting back into the school day, to have, gentleness and grace for mom and for the kids, especially because they have been or need to be reacclimated to the routine, to the schedule. So I'm just writing it out. We'll talk about it at breakfast. It kind of helps to have the game plan in the day. We'll spend maybe 3 hours on school after breakfast, and then afterwards we have a 1 afternoon school, which is writing today on Mondays. And then after that, we've let the house and the chores outside get away from us because of the holidays. So we have some big cleanup. And usually we do chores every day, morning and afternoon. However, our afternoon chores have been kind of on the back burner as we've been doing the fun and having all the events and family in town. So our afternoon chore today is going to be a room-focused chore. Each of the kiddos will get assigned a room, and they will help bring it back to life, bring it back to order. And that will be so helpful for us moving forward for the rest of the week. Thank you so much for joining us today as I talk through our new morning habits and routines as a family. And I just, again, ask if you feel inspired to subscribe and follow along so that we can continue to encourage you and others.